Hello, this is Simon Taylor with a view from the outside. Let's face it, at a national and international level, good news stories are not featuring on the front page. Indeed, the reports and breaking news all seem to point to the fragility of our modern Western society. In England, Europe, and indeed America, I have never known a period when there are so many unknowns. About America and Trump, Brexit, our behaviour since, the economy. Never has there been a period of more diverse opinions about the future. For many, the talk is of how the boundaries are being stretched, almost to breaking point. Think of America and their new leader, Mr. Trump. Some newspapers are suggesting there are considerable worries that he is pushing against the very heart of their democratic system, by questioning the decisions or even the right for the judiciary to hand down judgment on his immigration ban proposals. Others suggest that the election result was not a true reflection of votes cast due to foreign interference. But we are only 4 weeks into a 4-year term, so let's not be too conclusive yet. Sadly, the same stretch marks are appearing here though. Only recently, our own judiciary has been questioned as to their rights to be involved in the Brexit questions and votes. Again, questioning the very heart of our legal and judicial system. Now, to many commentators that I read across the political spectrum, this is a new and very much a great concern. Because whatever the rights or wrongs of the appeal itself to the law courts over the Brexit referendum, it was the vilification of the judges that concerned many people. After all, our whole fragile democracy is based on the rule of law, a trust and agreement by those who live here that we will all live by a set of rules and adhere to its lawmakers and their interpreters, the judges. You can only rely on that continuing, on society believing in the rule of law, and those who interpret the law if you do not question it and their right to perform that duty. One thing that has come through, though, is also the strength of opinion held on the subject of Brexit itself. That does seem to be quite unique. I cannot remember a time or a subject that has evoked such opinions, to the extent of families not speaking. So sad on one level, and yet good in another, if it means people are wanting to become involved and think about what is being said and what is happening both at local and national level. This, I understand, is what has happened in Scotland post the Scottish referendum, and I can only hope that this increase in involvement in England and Wales continues, particularly as there is no agreement amongst the commentator as to where Britain, the economy, anything really, where it's going to be in 10 years' time. An example, think about the predictions for our economy. It does appear to be increasingly clear that our current economic models no longer apply. Indeed, according to a leading national newspaper, there are increasing reports that the economics taught in universities ceased to be valid from the banking crisis in 2008. A recent pointer to the lack of a predictable economic model is the fact that all economic forecasts suggested that there would be doom and gloom post-Brexit, and yet unemployment is down and spending has not yet collapsed. I do not know if this means Brexit will work. I do know it does suggest we will not know where we are going until we get there. And that's a little scary, isn't it? And financially, it doesn't seem good as we move towards budget day. We are told that because of the bankers, we owe more in national debt than almost any other time in the last 60 years. The public services have been squeezed much more. I even read an article today from a respected columnist that suggested that some senior Tories fear that there will be marching in the streets in 2 years as a consequence of all the cuts coming our way. But I digress. The financial squeeze does seem to be the only thing that we are agreed on. But even that is not the case in your area, I see. And I quote from the Brighton and Hove Independent. And I quote, "Phelim McCavity, prevention is better than a cure. There can be no question that the macabre project to cut councils to the bone is failing. Cuts are perpetuating inequality, leaving our communities exposed to uncertainty, while the most powerful continue to prosper. Under these circumstances, Brighton and Hove City Council now has to set the budget for the services it provides to you. To manage this, sadly, the Labour leadership of the council has decided to cut essential services, and plans include removing all of the city's community youth service, reducing home support for the elderly, and cutting help for preschool children with special needs. If successful, this way of managing your money will see the burden of reducing budgets fall on the young, the elderly, and the vulnerable. This is not only unfair, it comes with a hefty long-term financial cost to society. Many of Labour's budget proposals strip services back to the legal minimum. That leaves people in crisis with two unacceptable options: suffer in silence or wait until an issue is so bad it can finally qualify for emergency support. There is a reason the expression "prevention is better than cure" persists. Preventative services work and reduce demand for high-cost services. This could be by keeping our older residents more active, by keeping a young person safe. The Labour leadership sets the budget, and we have to be clear that as an opposition party, we can only tweak it. We cannot say everything we want to. Instead, Greens want to approach the budget differently, guided by principles of prevention and protection. We will put some of our city's most marginalised communities at the very heart of our suggestions. This will save money long-term for the city. Rather than comply with a Tory agenda that strikes at the least powerful in our society, we will try to push for bold alternatives that centre around fairness to protect those most at risk. We are inviting other parties to work with us to protect services in Brighton and Hove. End of quote. I have no idea if the gentleman is right, but it does just show how opinions are differing. One area I now understand that is at risk nationally is parks. There is no money, and their time may be up. Conventional methods of support are just not there, rightly or wrongly. So is the answer to see them wither on the vine, so to speak? Well, not according to your local paper. Perhaps there is more than one method of supporting parks. And I quote from your Brighton Argus. Work is set to begin on a £53,000 makeover for a Brighton park. The upgrade of the William Clark Park, also known as the Patch or Nobby's Park, is expected to take about a month. Fences, paths and surfaces of the park will be replaced and improvements will be made to the drainage system. Brighton and Hove City Council is working with the Friends of William Clark Park, which is also planning its own improvements. The money to pay for the council work has come from contributions paid by developers behind building projects in the city. Payments from developers usually form part of the conditions when planning permission is granted for larger projects. Councillor Jill Mitchell, chairwoman of the City's Council's Environment, Transport and Sustainability Committee, said, "It's a pleasure to be able to improve a park at a time when budgets are so tight. Getting funding from external sources and the work of these fantastic friends groups will be increasingly important in the future." The Council's Parks Department must lose £600,000 of its budget, around 15%, in the years leading up to 2020. End of quote. Not a perfect solution, obviously, because it relies on there being such projects, and it can be very hit and miss. Largesse is always a gamble, because it depends on the individual projects or donations, which of course makes it very difficult to plan when just relying on such funds. Think about it. How can a council plan over a short-term, let alone a medium-term basis, if you do not know your income 1 week or 1 year to another? But give forth some mouths, and I'm really glad that the park is to be upgraded. I see the Metropolitan and even your own police forces are worried about financial pressures, and indeed fear a full service may not always be guaranteed in the future. Self-help may increasingly be necessary, not in terms of vigilantes, but taking sensible precautions. Brighton is worried about pickpockets, and I quote from the Brighton and Hove Independent. Police are warning residents in Brighton and Hove to be on their guard following a spate of bag and purse thefts in supermarkets and restaurants. Some victims have placed their handbags into shopping trolleys, and they have only then noticed the bag or their purse have been stolen when they've gone to pay for their shopping, police said. One theft was reported by a woman shopping in Waitrose, Western Road, Brighton, and another in a Sainsbury's store in Old Shoreham Road. Police confirmed this. PC Vincent Lamb said, "The victim's personal property in their handbag or purse is being kept by the thief, and then their bank cards are being used fraudulently in the shops until the victim cancels it. We are advising people to keep their handbags and purses on them at all times. Don't leave them in the shopping trolley. If your bank or credit cards are stolen, please notify the bank without delay." End of quote. Now, the trouble is, I remember reading recently that pickpockets love people to be warned about the dangers. In London, it was reported that pickpockets always linger around posters warning of, you guessed it, pickpockets. Why? Because every punter that reads the notice automatically then taps their pocket to be reassured the wallet or purse is still there. The pickpocket therefore knows exactly where to grab it from. You just can't win, can you? The answer to these troubled times and shores? Leave them. Start afresh. Well, believe it or not, that is what is being suggested in the Bognor Observer. And I quote, "New Zealand for free. New Zealand's capital city, Wellington, home to a world-leading technology industry, is welcoming tech talent from around the globe with a bold new recruitment initiative, Look See Wellington, which launches this week to see 100 IT professionals selected to come to Wellington with their flights and accommodation paid for a series of pre-arranged job interviews with employers who have roles that match their skills. The initiative Talent Attraction is designed to address the city's IT skill shortages. It is led by the Wellington Regional Economic Development Agency and Work Here New Zealand, which specialises in global talent attraction, and is supported by the New Zealand Immigration Service and NZ Tech. IT professionals who want to be considered for selection for Look See Wellington have until March the 20th to register and apply. The 100 candidates selected for Look See Wellington Week will travel to Wellington from the 8th to the 11th of May. They will each have a full itinerary of job interviews and fun activities to showcase Wellington's charms. Wellington Mayor Justin Lester says the city knows there is fierce competition globally for talented tech professionals, so there is a need to be creative in attracting attention. Look See Wellington is about giving people who might be open to moving to this side of the world a chance to come and have a look-see before deciding to relocate, and without having to pay to get here to inform their decision-making. Chief Executive Rod Drury of one company says their company is doing world-class work in Wellington alongside its shift to the Amazon Web Services platform, which allows developers to really delve into rewarding and challenging work in machine learning and artificial intelligence. Wellington is a great place for anyone who's into outdoor pursuits. It has incredible mountain biking, windsurfing and paddle boarding, and it also has a thriving art scene and more cafes and restaurants per head of population than almost anywhere else. It's a compact city with a collaborative spirit, and it's a really creative and energising place to work and live. End of quote. So there you have it. One possible solution. To those of you like me who, for whatever reason, are planning on staying and not packing your bags as we speak, well, may I suggest that you take care in these interesting times. This has been Simon Taylor with a view from the outside. Take care.